Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have the opportunity to work on a Penn Rival. This is the Rival 30LW. It's a level wind reel. In this case, the level wind has broken off. And this one belongs to Robert, I think. Yep, Robert. And they've always asked me to fix this. There's a couple of things going wrong with this. The line side shield is upside down. The arm of the line guide is broken. The pole assembly is partially out. It looks like an attempted fix maybe, because that shouldn't work the way it is. But well, we're going to get started on this reel. We're going to show you how to take it apart, how to service it, and ideally how to keep it fishing for a long time to come. I'm not sure what caused the issues, but I think we know how to correct them. And I went off before we started to work on this reel and ordered the line guide assembly, because it's obvious that there's been a lot of issues there. And well, they've come back with the parts. I ordered them from mysticparts.com, and well, that's a good source for you if you need to have a reel from Penn have replacement parts. So I would encourage you, go ahead and use them. They're great folks over there, and they will help you source the parts that you need to keep your reel going again. Well, we're going to start by taking off the pieces and parts. As I do, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you like the art of service and reel repair, if you like to learn how to keep your reels maintained, or if you just like to learn about the reel itself, how it was made and its purposes and the like, I try to cover them as I do the service videos. So I would encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already. And I want to thank those of you that have subscribed. And well, if you've subscribed or are going to, use that notification button. That notification button will tell you the videos that I'm posting, when I'm posting them, and you can get the first look at them. Alright, I've removed the handle screw. I've used an Allen Tanny wrench to do that. That's also available at mysticparts.com. And now I'm going to remove the handle by backing off the star adjuster. That means that it's going to be brought off in a counterclockwise manner. And while I do these take parts, I like to remove the pieces of parts, clean them, and then put them into a parts tray for safekeeping. I do recommend before you start removing your pieces and parts of your reel that you do have a parts strategy. Mine is to use a, well, I call it organized chaos. I use a parts tray. I kind of use the corners of each parts tray for sub-assemblies, but you may have a different way of organizing your parts. That's fine. I would just encourage you to think about that before you start taking the reel apart. Also, while we see as evidence here that this reel has a line guide shield that's upside down, so I would also suggest that you take pictures along the way if you're trying to service a reel, so that, well, when it comes time to reinstall, maybe that piece gets put in properly. Alright, I just put a spray of penetrating oil on here. I used a brass brush to pull through on the threads, and that clears the threads so that the next time through we can make it easier to get the pieces on. There are 2 tension washers that go underneath that star adjuster. Then there's 2 larger tension washers. Actually, there's 4. There's 2 that are caught inside there. These are curved or convex or concave, depending on how you're looking at it, I guess. And those sit on here, and they adjust the tension on the star adjuster. This reel's got a lot of salt on it. I don't know what the cause of the breakage of that line guide was. Could have been that it was snagged up. But whenever I see that, before I remove the screws, I do like to put a shot of penetrating oil on there and let it work itself in. That way, when you get to the turning it, well, it eases those screws out. Instead of change over, the blade on the one screw was just not grabbing very well. Alright, there's 4 screws on this side that are holding the side plate on, so that's the next piece we want to get to. When I take my side plate screws off, I like to lay them on my desk because I want to make sure that they're the same size. Every now and then manufacturers will put different screws in different places, and that includes Penn. This is a Penn Rival wheel. This is a little different than one of the others in terms of the screws, but you do want to make sure that if there is a long one or a short one, that you can notice where they are, and then when you go to reinstall, put them back in the proper place. All right, the side plate is jumping up at me now. There's two line guides screws there that are pushing it out, these two. And this is a good place to tell you to take pictures. There's nothing going on this side. That's an easy one. You're not going to remove anything here. You can oil the eccentric here and make sure to check the spring, that the spring is not broken, but there's no service required. There's no bearings in there or anything. This is the balance of your main gear. This is your yoke assembly with the springs and your jack. I'm going to remove those two springs first because they have a habit of disappearing in a hurry. Now I'm going to pull up and out on the main gear, and that main gear has a brass top and then a collar that's got studs on it that's going to go in it. We'll service that in a bit. And then it's got this assembly up top rather than a bearing. So some folks wonder what's the difference in the pricing on the reels, and how do you how does it all work in terms of why one is more resilient than another, or stronger built or more costly. One of them is in the bearings. This one does not have the bearings. It does not have an anti-reverse bearing. It uses these two anti-reverse dogs to hold fast the reel. Then we're going to remove this part as well. So when you go to reset, hopefully you took a picture there, these dogs sit on here, and there is a washer underneath. This one sits this way. You can always tell by the way that the beaks go in, and when we come back we're going to have to line them up with those holes. Okay, we've taken off this side. We'll leave this in place. It's just a gear shaft, and now we're going to come over to the other side to remove the spool, and that's going to enable us to work on the line guide assembly itself. So there's a lot going on, and if you're not real versed in this, then you should be taking the pictures. Use any image capture device you like. Well, it's starting to roll off my tongue easily now. Phone, camera, video record if you like, but those pictures will be invaluable. I know they've bailed me out on a lot of occasions, so it's kind of, I practice what I preach here. It's lessons learned. Mine, that happens to be videos because I post these on YouTube, but every now and then I'll get stuck, and when I get stuck it's good to know that I have a backup, and there's more times than not than when I've come to the point where I need to reassemble or see how a particular spring lies or something like that, that I go to that. Okay, this is your back side plate, and our spool comes through. And the spool has a bearing in the case, so I'm going to try and push that out easily. Kind of a funny way to do this, because you have to make sure, there you go, you have to make sure that you're clearing everything, and that's where I was getting stuck. This line is stuck, and if it sticks up too much it jams in the side case. The spool's got a problem with the level line, so it all gathered to the one side there. Okay, that's out. Now what we need to do is get to the worm gear. That's this piece, and the line guide assembly, and that's held in place with an E-clip over here. And to get to that E-clip, I like to use a micro screwdriver for this. Just kind of insert it on the one side and pull out. And these are always kind of designed weird because there's only one way you can get it out. There you go, it's out that side. Take a picture again. You have this big E-clip. Then you have a smaller, kind of a brass clip there. And then you can push your worm gear out. So don't lose this. And we also know now that the shield is turned backwards. So with that out, we can push the shield through. We're going to have to remove the old pawl. So it seems to be jammed up pretty good. And that's why you kind of, yeah, this is toast basically. That's why when you do this, you want to make sure that you remove all of your, or when you go to reorder rather, that you order all new pieces and parts, because you're never quite sure what the damage is and how to go get that fixed. All right. One of the ways I like to test this guide is to run a Phillips head screwdriver through here and just check on the width. This looks like it's compressed a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and use some steel wool on this just to wipe off that old salt in the link. So this one's heavily salted. We saw that when it came to the pawl itself. And that means that this reel probably was not rinsed off and it hasn't been serviced in a while. Okay, here's our pieces and parts that we're going to need to assemble the line guide. There are a couple of different pieces and parts in here. First thing I want to do is take the line guide arm and make sure that it doesn't snag at any point on this guide. And that's doing what it should be doing. Next thing we want to do then is to load our line guide on. Oh, we want to bring this through. I guess we can clean the case before then. Got a lot going on here, so if this seems a little random, it is. Every time I turn, I'm seeing something else. I'm going to use a scrubby pad with some rod and reel cleaner on there. I want to get the points on the shoulder before I go and install that line guide, because I won't be able to do it then. All right. The arm, bring the line guide through. Then the arm hooks over that bar up top there. Bring both of these assemblies through on this side. And then this assembly locks down with this plastic cover. And you'll see the two slots where this goes. Okay, you need to remove the hold fast for the gear side of the worm. Bring that over. You'll see that it'll sit straight up here on the line guide. Bring that in and through. When you pull down on this side now, you have the room for that E-clip and that washer. So let's put that on. Make sure that that clears. And then your E-clip. Now I find that the only way you can kind of get that E-clip in is to come in from this side, because you seem to bump into the other stuff on the other side. All right, bring this down. And that's how you assemble that. So we now have the worm gear, the line guide, and now we're going to go and do the line guide pawl. And we're going to recycle that cap, but we know that the pawl was bad in the other one. You can see that it's all dirt and corroded and rusted there. So that goes in next. And once you put that in, you can seat it by turning the worm gear. I'll spray the cap here to dissolve that salt. I'm just going to use a cotton swab to clean that out. Okay, I'll set this up again. Pole goes in. I'm going to put a shot of oil onto the worm gear and the pole. Again, I need to turn the worm gear to set that pole down. It should just slightly be proud like that. Over here and use this cap again. That should work now. You need to make sure that this is going on square. If it's not going on square, back it off, try it again. Okay, I'll try that to make sure that's working, which it is. And now what we can do is we can go ahead and just check here. I did get a spare drive wheel just in case. So to check the idler gear, because one of the things you want to understand is, did this reel take any damage? Was this hooked up on a rock or a wreck or something like that, and they tried to power out of it? And when you see a broken line guide like that, generally speaking, you should go ahead and just replace all of the line guide parts, because chances are something substantial happened to all of those pieces, not just the one piece. Okay, just got it started. So what I think looks like, it's an odd tipped one here. All right, so again, I keep this on my table here because you can see there's a lot of dirt and debris in the light that has come from that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and replace this drive because there does appear to be some damage to the teeth. You can particularly pick it up over on this side right here. But there's a couple of points on here that are not sharp any longer, so it was kind of sage to do that. I guess after you work on these a while, you kind of learn from that. These gears do not need to be oiled. There is some old greases and that on there, but just oil the stem. The plastic and the plastic pieces and parts are self-lubricating. All right, we can take that and put this back on now. Locate your mounting screws. In case you weren't paying attention, the two flathead screws go up top. And the rounded head will go on there. Well, while I'm doing this, if you have any questions about this reel or any reel, leave them in the comments section. I will try to help you out, see if I can answer those questions for you. Sometimes it's technical, you know, what's the feeds and speeds of the reel, those kinds of things. Sometimes it's you have this reel and you're working on it and something's gone awry and you're stuck. Can I kind of give you thoughts on where to go next, sort of things? Whatever it is, if you leave those in this comment section, I will try to answer those for you. Okay, we're just trying to untangle some of this line. The real answer here is to kind of replace. For now, this is not how a level line reel will work, but what we are going to do is we'll take it and bring it outside and walk it all off and put it back together again, and it should have a correct lining to it. Okay, next up then, we want to oil the bearings on the spool. Spool goes in. as you're doing the assembly, just check. This is almost always guaranteed to happen, where the line is going to go out the back side and get caught anyway. You can see it here. So make sure you avoid that on the way in. We've oiled the 2 bearings. We can bring the side plate cap back on. Just line up your screw holes. Again, I'm going to use that scrubby pad with the rod and wheel cleaner on it to get the excess debris off the side there. And our side plate trim ring goes on. Then we know the side plate screws are all the same. And again, there's some salt in this. So I'm just going to spray them down with some penetrating oil to dissolve that salt and ease it on the way in. And we can go ahead and reinstall these now. So this is their value reel, their Penn's value reel. It's below the fathom and the squall. It is a big level line reel. And it's a nice reel overall. You're going to see when we get over to the gear side in just a moment that the gears are pretty substantial. Right now I'm not lining those holes up quite right. So if you run into that issue, just relax, bring it back, do it again. Okay, bring this on. There's a staggered joint there, so you have to be careful. Make sure that they're in. There we go. I'm just going to start them before I tighten them down. Starting with the wrong screwdriver, that's part of the problem. Alright. Remember to match the slots in the screwdriver with the slot in the screw. Don't go too much narrower than the slot because you can butterfly that screw, and that makes for a very difficult retrieval or removal the next time. Okay, one more here. That side of the reel is done. So far we've completely changed out the level line system, replaced it with new pieces and parts. Now we're on to the gear side. The gear side is not quite as challenging. It's a pretty straightforward design in the gears, but it gets the job done. I'm going to start with the jack. Putting grease onto the back of the jack. That fits into the slot. There's 2 grooves there. Next up, I want to take the pinion gear assembly. That's these 2. I'm going to clean off the pinion gear's tracks. To do that, I'm going to use that brush again. I'm going to pull through on the teeth to make sure that they haven't been damaged. We know there's damage in this reel, so we just want to make sure that they're okay, and they are. They're clean. We're going to take a moment here to grease the teeth after we've inspected them. Grease the slot where it's going to run through the yoke, and also where it's going to nest in the other side plate. I'm going to get grease onto the shoulder of your yoke. Bring that gear in. Then bring the gear over the 2 posts. The best thing to do here is to, you want to merge this spool. There we go. I'm going to slide that back in. You need to nest the pinion gear in. That makes it a whole lot easier when it's time to reinstall. At this point, you can put the 2 springs on, or you can wait. the springs go on top of that yoke. And the next part on then is this anti-reverse click ratchet. So you want to kind of get them started, bring them over the top. Then you need to aim for where the posts are. And I'm a couple of teeth off on this one. So I'm going to back that up a couple. And it's just trial and error until you land on it. There you go again. I think I got that right. That's right. And now there's a square on this post, so you need to make sure that it's seated there. And we bring that carbon fiber washer underneath. You do not need to oil or grease carbon fiber. They are optional. This is the Penn HT100. It's their version of the carbon fiber washer. And we're just going to inspect and make sure these are clean because we know all the salt that's been on this reel. If you find that these are clogged, generally you're not going to see a lot of wear. Take a hard bristle brush and pull through on it. Again, I use the paper towel so I don't spread it from one project to the next. And as long as you can see the cross hatchings on here, you're going to be okay with that as a drag washer. If you can't see them, if they look severely worn, then you want to go and replace that set. The advantages of the carbon fiber washer is that it doesn't tear as much. So it's more durable. Okay, greasing up the main gear. We're going to set the main gear on the post before we install the washers. Merge that with your pinion gear. Again, I do not grease carbon fiber washers. Again, it's optional. Second one up then is the solid. We want to bring the second of the main body washers. And then this one, it's got a bell on it. There's an indent on the one side and a rise on the other. The rise faces up. And we want to bring our sleeve on. And I think this can go in either way. I'm not sure. We're going to put it on. That's the way it kind of removed it when we started this. Any questions you have on that, make sure that you just examine the pictures. Make sure that your stud is in the up position and that your jack is in the up position here. You have to merge the two. I'm just checking to make sure that I have it. I'm hearing the click, so I'm pretty sure I have that. Okay, 4 more screws on this side. I go opposite directions here, so I'm going to go top and bottom, or north and south. And we're continuing with the third screw. We got one more screw after this. And we'll build up that handle side again with the washers. It's always good to have that part strategy as well. A lot of things going on here. I left some of them on my desk. I probably shouldn't have done that, but I did. And, well, there we go. All tight there. All right. The 4 tension washers, they have bellies. I nest them one up, one down. Do it again. That's kind of the standard factory setting. Then we have 2 of the smaller ones. Same idea. Up and down. Kind of belly facing up on the first, down on the second. Now coming back to where we've been. Next up then is the star adjuster. And you need to make sure that it spins on nice and easy. If it's not spinning on easy, stop. Just testing it before I go too much further. we'll do a final test on that. You don't want to be in a position where you're putting all this stuff on and you have a binding there. All right, get some of the stuff off the table. The little tension washer, spring washer goes on next. And your handle seats in there. Now, if you didn't fully service this, you could put a drop of oil underneath here. But since we did, we're in a better, don't need to do that. You can tighten down the drag washer before tightening down the handle screw. If you don't do that, you can trap that and you won't have any drag washer at all because you'll be stuck. All right, back to the handle wrench. Now you need to align the scallop to the screw hole so that you can put the set screw in. So what did we do? We took the reel apart to show you how to service and replace the line guide. And to do that, we had to do both sides. We had to remove the gear side first because that gear side has the E-clip assembly on there that's holding the one side of the shield. Then we had to remove the other side so that we can work the worm gear out. Then we ran the shield back in, the worm gear back in, threaded it through the line guide arm, replaced the pawl. We replaced the idler gear drive on this side. We saw that there was worn teeth in that. And, well, we put it all back together again now. It's time to give it a test. So you go into free spool, make sure that the spool is spinning and the line guide is turning, which it is. Now we want to go into retrieve mode, turn and make sure that everything works free and easy. This is working very nicely. So Robert, your reel's all done. It's ready to go fishing again. And thanks for sending it in. I want to just have a spool adjuster here. You want to take the opportunity to adjust that. And we're all in good position. The only thing that needs to be done now is this line needs to be let out a long way and then reeled back in using the line guide, and that will get rid of the coning on the one side. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. I want to take a moment to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, and all the people that work on our behalf. And I want to take a moment to thank you for watching. I want to thank our subscribers and encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already, and to wish everybody a great day with great fishing. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a wonderful day.